Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today we are going to be doing up this desk tidy. I'm saying having to talk quietly when I say what it is because he's kind of around, so I don't want him to hear. Anyway, it comes as just like a plain wood, and all I've done at the moment is just put the gesso on. So what I want to do now is actually put some paint over this so that we have painted it up. So that when I put my papers and things on, the bits that aren't going to have paper will be okay. I think it'd be fun to have some colour in the middle, in the inside part there. So I've got here a metallic gold, and I'm going to mix that with the sand, and then we're going to paint up the inside here, and I think that will give a really nice effect because it'll have a like a metallic-y feel to it. So then you've got like the darker centre, sort of more mottly, and I need to do the back and sides. I'm not going to get too hung up about painting the front because it's going to be covered in paper. So I just want to go in here just so it's tidy. So again, I'm not too bothered about the front because we'll be covering that. So that looks good. And then I think I'll do the base as well while we're here. Let's just take a little bit of gold. I probably want to do the back of this because I don't want paper on both sides. I'm just going to peek in there and paint the inside. Okay, so that's that inside done. I haven't done the back, but I have done the front, if you can just see it, and the sides, and I've not really gone in those grooves now because I shouldn't have done that in the first place. It made it a bit difficult, and then I've gone across all the tops. So we're just going to let that sit like that and dry. Okay, so for the desk tidy, I've got a selection of papers here, sort of all kind of vintage feel, because I thought these with the books were really nice, and the quill and everything. So I think what I'm going to do is try and rip that like so, to a rough rip around there, and let's just go for it and see what happens. So that's one bit. And then we want to rip around the top here as well. I love those rulers, they do make it a lot easier. Okay, so we've got a couple of bits there. Okay, let's get sticking some things down. Right, so I think what we'll do is we'll put that there and we'll cut that off. And yep, that'll do it. So we want just a smallish piece about there. I think I might use this piece down here because that looks so cool with that darker edge and that bit there like that. Yeah, fabulous. So now obviously there's a drawer in there and there's holes and there's all sorts of things, but the plan is that once we stuck it down and it's glued, that we can then sort of cut with our knife and start to make it work. Hopefully, that's the theory. Let's get some Mod Podge. The plan is we're going to coat the whole of the front, and then once it's dry enough we will be able to cut into where the gaps are, so just the square, but that will then leave me to be able to take that out and then cut round it more properly. And then all this excess here that's hanging off we will cut off with a blade. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to leave that to dry, because what I can do though is just do this piece here. I was just looking at this, I just thought this piece, I think I might rip it up a bit, make it a bit more fun.
I'm a gypsy lover, so I stole your heart away. be all yours until my dying day. I put on the charm with a dance that made you swoon. You were like a howling wolf calling to the moon. I'm a gypsy lover, so I had to set you free.
Okay, so that is that piece done. I mean, obviously we've got to cut it all out around there, and then I need to sandpaper the edges to make sure it'll all fit nicely, but I think that's not bad. Okie dokie, so already this is starting to dry, and so what I think I want to do is just gently cut into where the drawer is before it gets too dry and it makes it really hard, because then what we'll do is we can actually really stick it down onto those sections, because we can put the glue along those edges as well. There we go. Because it's kind of meant to be vintagey, so that's not a big deal. So now we've got that piece cut, what I want to do is actually pull it out like so. So look, now we've got that done like that, and then I'm going to be able to stick these bits down much better and fiddle around with that as well. So the first thing I need to do is just chop that edge piece off. That's just getting rid of some of the excess. And I'm just gonna, as I said, it's not set yet, but what I want to do is make sure like this edge piece is really nicely stuck down. Best way to do that is to get your glue in that edge now. I'm really just working into those edges, sort of almost making it a bit soggy, so that you can really make sure it's stuck down. We've got our gesso down underneath, so that's going to help. I'm really not entirely convinced that I shouldn't be cutting that off, you know. It just feels like it would stick better. If it didn't have all that excess. Okay, that's the worst of it off at least. And then we should now, with a little help from this adhesive, get this stuck where it's supposed to be. Okay, and then the rest we'll tidy those up better when it's completely dry, because I think that will help. And then just do exactly the same. Okay, it's not perfect, but again, it should be just enough so that when it dries, like there's quite a bit on the bottom there that's not quite done, that's actually making it pop up. So I'm gonna, which is a bit annoying, so I'm just gonna take this now and just run my blade along the bottom there, which probably wasn't ideal on my lovely little mat here, because I just cut into my mat, which is a bit stupid, but anyway, not to worry. What is done is done. And then that little piece here where it had got a bit missing, I've just filled that in. Okay, so that's good. So that needs to dry now. And then take my craft knife, this time onto my cutting mat.
I'm a gypsy lover, so I left you in the night, hoping you would look for me under the starry sky.
There's a little gap there in the corner, but otherwise it looks good, I think. So I'm just going to grab a little piece. Okie dokie, so I'm going to pop this down to let that dry. and I'm going to clear up and I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so I found this and I thought it'd be quite cool just to do that as it is over the whole lot at the back there. So I just thought it'd be quite fun having like a complete picture on the back there. I just thought it's a really nice image, and let's just go for it. Get my craft knife, like so, and there is our back piece, and that looked really cool. I really like that. Tip Mod Podge on. Now we're going to need to do a couple of coats on all sides. Okay, so it's starting to wrinkle just a little, so let's get the roller and give it a bit of a roll so it flattens out. Okay, that should be good for now. Then we'll just stand this up, let this dry, and then the next thing we need to do is the sides. We can get those done as well because they can be drying while they're standing. So, okay, so I've got this side sorted. So I'm just going to pop this piece down first. Okay, and then pop this down like so. And then I'm going to get my Mod Podge a little bit more. So obviously I need to cut that in due course, but okay, so this is just tacky enough that I can just go across with my craft knife and just take the excess off, I hope. Okay, slightly cut into the wood there, so I'm just squidging it and it's fine. Okay, let's just clean that off. So that, I think that looks cool. So I've played around with some bits and pieces for the side here, so I'm just going to pop those down to the side, and I'm going to get my Mod Podge. And then once we've done this, I'm going to stand it up on its bottom here, and I'm going to Mod Podge all of it again, and then I'm going to leave it to dry overnight, and maybe if I can I'll do some more coats over that as well, so that we've got a couple of coats like we did with the other thing over the top of our paper. Okie dokie, so then go on to this first. Just playing with that because I want to position that correctly. So I'm going to whip it over. I probably shouldn't really because it's wet as heck, but I want to just get this cut and just hope for the best. Okay, there we go. Reckon that looks pretty good, actually. Pleased with that. So we've got that done, the two sides, the back. The only bit we're not done now that needs doing is this inside piece. Now I know we've got this on the back, but it's a whiter version of it, and also you're not going to be looking at the back that often, so I think it might be quite fun to pop that on the inside there. And so I'm literally just gonna cut that with a pair of scissors. dokie, so then let's just cut this top piece off, because we know we don't need it quite as tall as that, and then we're going to pop that in there. So get my Mod Podge. So I think we're going to have to actually go along with my blade. Didn't really cut it before. I suppose ideally what I could have done was draw a line, but we've managed it, so that looks really cool. So now turning that around again and then gently getting this Mod Podge and over the top, and then it's already lifting a little, so I'm just going in with my fingers just to try and stop any bubbles. So just rolling out any bubbles that have come, and then we'll need to go with all around these edges with a piece of sandpaper. Okay, so now everything that we need to cover has been covered. So now what I want to do is Mod Podge another coat across all of it, except for perhaps that inside one which has only just been done, and then allow that to dry. And I mustn't forget the drawer, which is elsewhere. And then when we've done a couple of coats like we did before, we can go back in with our sandpaper and just sandpaper all those edges, tidy it all up, make it look a lot neater, and then we'll need to do another coat as well. Okay, so we went overnight and I did a couple more coats, but in between that I needed to just file away the edges like I did when I did the clock. You will have hopefully seen that. And literally what I did was I took sandpaper and just went all around. Obviously I cut any excess off. I think I did that actually before. I cut any excess off and then I sandpapered. I made it quite rough and ready, and then I took my file as well and did the same down these sides here of the piece that's to sit inside there. I really went to town with the sandpaper and I tried to narrow it off a bit. I don't know if you can just see how it's just slightly going in. Hopefully you can. So that hopefully will now sit inside there okay. Just have a little see. I don't think once, yeah, it'll go in. So once it's in, I'm not planning on taking it out again. It's just getting it in that's the point, really. So I've done that. I left the gold on the inside of this one because the gold on this one, I think you can just see it actually does have the shimmer, and I think it just gives it quite a nice look to the inside. This turned out really well. I managed to keep most of the paper at the bottom there, not all of it. There's a little bit that came off here, but I just went round with the sand coloured paint that I had, which is basically just a cream. And if you remember, this is my drawer and this is to sit, and then that makes that look like a complete book, which I think is really cool. I hope it looks alright anyway. And then I'll take it out. I really think it needs a little handle on here really, but there's nothing I can do about that because I'm not qualified to put handles on things. So I think what we need to do now is do some glazing. Now with the glazing we can only do so much at a time because we don't want it running. So I'm going to sit it here and we'll do a couple of bits and then I'll, so you can see what I'm going to do, and then I'll just do the rest, because it's only a single coat. When you're doing the glazing, what you don't want to do is for it to run everywhere, so you really, I can only like do the front. I don't think I'm going to do like the inside or anything. I'm just literally going to do where the paper is. I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to take this glaze, which is supposedly a crackle glaze, but what the heck. And then and I'm making sure it's just covering over the edges as well. And we don't want that. I think that might be Papa come home. There was something about not overworking this, so okay, I'll just get rid of dog and then I'll come back. Okay.
Terrified to know I laid alone in fields of hope. So if you never come, I guess I'll finally know. Was it real? I still feel the way you felt. Was it true? Or were you just under my spell?
Okay. So that's that for the moment. So we're going to let that dry, and then we'll come back and do the sides. I think we'll have to do one side at a time, in fact, and then we'll do the back. So I'll come back when it's all glazed and dry, and we'll go with the next step. Okay. Okay, so this is all dry. I think it's come up really lovely with that glaze. It's looking really good. And the next thing I want to do, and I'm putting gloves on this time, or a glove I think, I don't think I need two, is just to add a little bit of inking. I'm going to use walnut stain, couldn't think what it was called. So I'm going to start with this piece here, because if I don't like it, it's not the end of the world because it's going inside. So let me just grab that. I've got a bit of sponge here this time. I don't know what I used, oh, cloth. So I'm going to use a cloth to kind of rub it in, but I want the sponge to apply it. Okay, so we're just going to take my, I keep forgetting what it's called, walnut stain, and I'm just going to blob it down like that on the mat here, which is a great little thing. And then I'm going to take a little bit of water and put it on my sponge or on the table. And then I'm just going to make that a little bit waterier, and then I'm going to take this and just ink around the edges here. And then before it dries too much, I'm just going to take my cloth and I'm just going to wipe it, because as you can see it already starts to make a line, so we want to make sure that what we add and then again just going over that, because I don't want it like massively into them, don't want it on the back of it either. Wipe that off before it gets mucky. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm at the moment I'm doing the sort of the paler, slightly paler bit, and then we'll go around and we'll do a little bit more intense around the edges. So we're leaving the centre sort of pale. And what I do like is, like, on these sort of lines, it's quite cool to add a little bit more. And then just taking my cloth again and rubbing from the centre outwards, so you're pushing that ink out. So at the moment it's not like massively showing. Like so. So you can see a very slight difference. Now what we want to do, I'll wipe that away so I don't get it too strong, and I'm going to wipe this away as well because I don't want to end up with ink on the back of this. I'm going to ink that down there like so, but I'm not going to water it this time. And then I'm going to take my thing and I'm going to just go on these edges where it's just a bit darker now. And then I'm just going to use the other end of the sponge as well. Okay, so it was just a little bit too far in, so I'm just move that off a bit. And also it needs to be kind of rough, because so when it does dry it's not like in a big lump. Okay, and then just making sure it's clean on the table before I put it down. And then I'm going to take my cloth and I'm just going to rub in, especially up round by that line, so that we get just like a darkness around the edge. So we've got that slightly paler darkness, and then we've got a more intense, and I think that'll be just perfect. Okay, so you can see if you look at the difference here. Okay, alright, so I'll go and do the rest and I will come back and show you in a minute. Okay, so I put all the ink on. You can leave it to dry for a little bit and then just give it a bit of a rub, and so you can see it's just aged everything. And then we're now really finished. I would like really to have put a little handle on that, a little knob or something, but I'm not able to do that. That's just beyond my skill set. So that's that in there, and you can see how now the pattern come together. I think that looks really cool. And then this bit is to go sliding in here, so we need to probably give it a bit of a wallop. Oh no, I think we got it in fairly. Right, so just a pot, trying not to ruin the top as I'm doing it. Okay, so there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. And there it is finished. Isn't that cool? Really pleased with that. And even the bottom looks a bit vintage because it got a bit messed up. So it's kind of cool. Okay, so that is it. So I hope you've enjoyed making this with me. I certainly have enjoyed doing something a bit different. As I said with the other thing, which I can't say what it is at the moment because big ears are around, if you've enjoyed it, I'd love to hear. If you'd like some more sort of, not necessarily these sorts of things, but more sort of mixed media, altered art type projects, let me know. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.
Was it real? I still feel the way you felt. Was it true? Or were you just under my